Hello, and welcome to an episode of Todd Talks. And Todd Talks people listen. Hopefully, I'm looking out into the distance because somewhere out there in the distance is Death Battle Season 7. And we have to wait for it to come closer so that we may enjoy it. But that also means we can look back at Season 6 and see how it all was. So yes, this is my Season 6 review / recap, where I'll be talking about every death battle, what I thought about it, my win-loss record, and the top 5 death battles of the season for me. So, let's get this started. First up, we had Aquaman Namor. Now, if you recall, this was actually supposed to be in Season 5, but then they reshuffled things around, and it actually worked out better, in my opinion, because there were a lot of, DC Marvel fights last season, and there was actually only two directly. So that was pretty impressive. So this was a nice way to start out. Of course, the Aquaman movie had just come out and all that. So it worked. It was a fun match. The use of voice acting was nice. The ending with the fish was hilarious. And of course, I picked Aquaman. Aquaman won. The next fight was easily one of their most unique. It was the Mega Man Battle Royal. And if you recall, I actually abstained from making a pick on this one because I knew that with all 5 Mega Men, with all their histories, their games, and their mangas, that there was just way too much for me to cover, or try to cover, in the time I had for research. So I abstained, and actually worked in my favor because Mega Man.exe won via powers that they referenced from the manga, among other things. So I was happy to pull that off, but the fight was really fun. The use of the different Mega Man powers was really cool. The battle track was really nice. So a good one, and it was a very unique battle royal all in all. So I'm glad they did that. Next up was Widow. Widow. So yes, this was Black Widow versus Widowmaker from Overwatch. This one was a bit not as praised by the fans because of how they did the 3D animation. There wasn't a lot of actual conflict between Black Widow and Widowmaker up until the end, which was okay in part because they had some cool shots like the motorcycle chase and the Ferris wheel thing. But I can understand why people didn't like that. It did get very violent at the end, which I think a lot of people appreciated, and that ending was, it was brutal. It was also very Russian, but I could see why people didn't like it. But I picked Black Widow. Black Widow won. Yay. Next up, it was one of my favorites of the year in terms of personal bias, because it was Captain Marvel Carol Danvers versus Captain Marvel Billy Batson, aka Shazam. Nope, still no lightning bolt. I was really praying that I didn't miss anything with this one because I knew that Shazam could go toe to toe with Superman. I knew that he was as fast as some of the other DC superheroes that can go like light speed and beyond, and his magic gave him a lot of abilities. I was just, you never know sometimes, because even though Carol Danvers had lost versus Android 18, there was still that potential that she could beat Billy, and I was just like, there's got to be no way. So I picked Billy Batson. I picked Shazam. Dang it. I picked him, and I got the win. Yeah. I will say, though, that I didn't like the ending. I thought that was just too simple, like the punch. I was like, it could have done a little better, but whatever. Next up was Wario versus King Dedede. This was a battle I didn't know I needed to happen until it happened. This battle was funny. It was crazy. That ending is legendary now, and I'll be talking about it a little bit more later, but this was just very, very fun. I picked King Dedede, and I got it. Next up, Ben 10 versus Green Lantern. Hey, I was right there with you guys. I thought Ben 10 was going to win. We all thought about Alien X and how he could rewrite reality, survive reality being erased around him. So, how could Green Lantern stand up to that? Well, we all forgot about the Silver Age, as well as Crisis on Infinite Earths, because Green Lantern has survived reality being reworked around them. And the Silver Age gave him powers like time travel, which he doesn't have, honestly, in the modern times, but because Death Battle encompasses their entire histories and timelines and gives them all their powers, for the most part, that counted. So he can travel back in time and kill Ben before he, transforms into a single alien, which makes total sense now that I think about it. But, oh well. But yeah, I picked Ben 10, so I lost. Next up was Weiss versus Mitsuru, a somewhat controversial death battle because everybody thought that Weiss was going to win because Weiss is part of Ruby, which is part of Rooster Teeth, which owns Death Battle. You know, because Death Battle is clearly biased. And yet, I picked Mitsuru because I knew Mitsuru was going to win based on her elemental resistances, the power of her persona, etc., etc. And yet everyone's telling me, no, Todd, seriously, they can't let a Rooster Teeth character lose. And look who's laughing now. Although, ironically, it was one of the least watched death battles of the season. Curious, isn't it? But yeah, Mitsuru won, so I won me. Very fun fight. I loved the voice acting. Of course, Weiss was played by her actual actress, so that was really, really cool. Oh yes, next up, Johnny Cage versus Captain Falcon. Oh, this is a fun death battle. This was one actually born from the community death battle on the Death Battle cast, and the question was, how do you compare Captain Falcon's feats when all of his video games are based outside of Smash Brothers, obviously, is all about racing, not him in physical combat. So the answer was the anime and the manga and the official Nintendo comics, which is how people learned he was a bounty hunter, not just a race car driver. But this was a very fun fight. I'm gonna be it's in my top 5 for the season. I'm just gonna spoil that right now. But it was very fun. The combat, the techniques, the ending was just so much fun, and I loved it. It was very, very fun death battle. All right, next up was a very highly requested death battle. Aang from Avatar: Last Airbender versus Edward Elric from Full Metal Alchemist. 2 elemental benders, 2 masters of the craft. And while the ending, I don't feel displayed the full power of the Avatar state, it was still a fun fight. The voice acting was good. Where you going, short? Yeah, that was good stuff. But yeah, Aang won. I won. After that was Ghost Rider versus Lobo. Wow, this match was crazy. Crazy intense, crazy violent, crazy profane at times. This was a tough battle to pick because both these characters are literally built not to die. Lobo can heal from just about anything. He actually has a better healing factor than Deadpool, technically. And so, which ironically was because they were originally going to put Deadpool versus Lobo to see who wins, but then they did the other battle, which I'll get to. But I just knew that while Lobo was invincible physically, his soul was another story, and Penance Stare is meant to kill people like Lobo. So I had a feeling Ghost Rider would win, and I was right. Next up is the beginning of a series of very inconsistent picks from me. Dragon Zord versus Mechagodzilla. I was biased. I wanted the Dragon Zord to win. I felt he could win, and yet I was wrong. Mechagodzilla and that dang Absolute Zero cannon. Yeah, I know, but is it so wrong to want the Power Rangers to win a death battle? It's not! And no, it's not biased that they lost, because half of Death Battle is major Power Rangers fans. And I picked Voltron versus the Megazord, if you recall. So, yeah, Dragon Zord lost. But I bounced back. I bounced back because the next fight was Sasuke versus Hiei. And everybody, outside of like 3 people on my preview video, was telling me, oh, Todd, Sasuke's going to win. Sasuke's got the power, Sasuke's got the speed, he compares to Naruto, which means he can take a lot of damage. And you weren't wrong, except that a couple other people were like, you need to look at his like elemental resistances and some of the powers that he has and the speed he obtains and blah, blah, blah. And these guys had a lot of counters for one another. They were both fast. Even Death Battle was like, Sasuke's likely not that much faster than Hiei, if he's faster at all. They both had mind game powers, and of course with the Evil Eye, Hiei could resist them. He already had fire and ice elemental resistances, and he's resisted lightning, so a lot of his powers, Sasuke's powers, were not going to do damage to him, per se. And the Dragon of the Darkness Flame enhances his powers as well as his super form. So I picked Hiei. I was nervous, but I got the win. Next up, Gannon versus Dracula. This is a fun one because not only is this one of the best death battles of the season by far, it was one of the most risky death battles that they've ever done. Not in terms of the combatants, because this had actually been something that they had requested, or a lot of fans had requested for a while, unbeknownst to me. But they were doing this in the Source engine, like the one that's used by Valve, and they weren't sure how the battle was going to look. But they took a risk. They hired some really good people who knew the engine, and sure enough, it rocked. It was so good. You know, the animation, the ending, the voice acting. It was a lot of fun. And now in season 7, we are totally going to get another one of these battles, and maybe even 2. I'm really hoping for 2, but we'll see. So I lost, but it was a worthy loss because the fight was awesome. Unlike this next one, the next one had a good fight, but still. Mob versus Tatsumaki. I slightly give myself a pass on this one because I've never seen Mob Psycho 100 or One Punch Man. I guess I just didn't understand the full scope of the characters. And even though I cited some things correctly, including the triple question mark power, I guess I just underestimated how good Tatsumaki was, which she would clearly slap me over the head for. But what are you gonna do? So the fight was fun. This one was basically an anime fight, and I'm going to say that about another fight coming up. But like they literally, like, with all the different versions of how they did the hand drawn stuff, it was like anime times 10. It was awesome. This was so much fun to watch. But I lost, so yeah. And then there was Deadpool versus the Mask. Yes, let's kill Deadpool. This match was fun to watch overall. Lots of comedy, the use of things like the storyboards and the live action scenes, and of course the ending with Boomstick lamenting that they killed Deadpool and all that stuff. That was good stuff. The problem for me was that, and I didn't realize this until later, the fight really wasn't a fight. It started off as a fight, having him chop off Mask's head, and then the "I must break you" bit. But then it went into the continuity gem, and then it devolved into all the slapstick stuff. And so by the time they got to the actual fight again, it was like 30 seconds at most, with like the chainsaws and the swords and the guns and all that stuff. And then the bomb, obviously. It was fun. I do wish there had actually been more fight, but it served the purpose it was supposed to do. So it was good. And the Mask won, which I picked. There you go. And finally, Might versus Might. All Might versus Might guy. Another battle that was created via the community death battle. And this was a totally fun fight. From start to finish, it was very anime. The way it was basically like a 3D anime cutscene. It was so much fun. The music for the song Mighty by Werewolf, and Brandon Yates was very, very fun. Go get the song. They have it on YouTube. They have it on iTunes. It's really awesome. Go check it out. The use of choreography. This was very, very special because all the other Naruto characters that we've gotten in Death Battle, from Gaara up to Sasuke, had all been in 2D fights, and which would have made sense because of the style of their combat techniques. There was a lot of they would have had to create like 3D fire or 3D sand, and that's really hard to do. But with this, because he's basically taijutsu with hand-to-hand combat, they were allowed to just do really cool fight sequences, and it really showed. And then the whole like arm wrestling contest thing, that was a really fun way to start the battle. And yes, technically they both died at the end, but my guy won because he didn't die first. So take that as you want. I really thought All Might would win. I thought All Might would win. All right, so if you're curious about my record, my wins were 10, my losses were 5, and my abstentions were 1. So that's not too bad of a record. And again, some of those I'll give myself a slight pass about because of bias or lack of information. But I didn't do as well as I did in Season 5. I think I only lost like 2 or 3 times in Season 5. I'd have to relook that up. But I did a really good... I did well enough this year. I'm going to aim to do better for next year because I don't want to... I don't want to have this kind of thing happen again, so we shall see. All right, and now for my top 5 death battles. But before I get to that, I want to plug Blue Apron. No, I'm kidding. I'm going to have 2 honorable mentions. Deadpool versus Lobo, because of the very awesome way they did the fight from the start to the, like swallowing Ghost Rider, to the clones, to Zarathos just going postal on Lobo. It was a lot of fun. So, blessed for that. And then Deadpool Mask, even though I didn't like that there wasn't a lot of actual fighting, it was still really creative. They had a lot of fun with everything that was going on, like the fake beats up Deadpool and all that. Oh, he can stand up. He can hold an actual pistol. It was really funny, and I'm not gonna deny that. All right, so my top five. Number five is, not surprisingly, Might versus Might. This was very, very fun to watch, and I still watch it occasionally. Gosh, we're almost 2 weeks. Is this really 2 weeks? Yeah, it's been a week. Oh, it's been a week. Sorry, it's been a week. But I still watch it if I have like a few minutes because the fight was just so much fun. The personalities on display, the way they did the choreography, the ending where you're like, is he actually gonna pull it off? Is All Might gonna pull it off? Go beyond Pulse Ultra and all that. Sadly, he didn't, but it was still a really fun fight and a definite highlight of their 3D battles for the year. Next up, okay, this might surprise some people. I'm going Wario King Dedede. Hear me out. All right, I know the TD death battles don't always get a lot of love, but this was a difference maker because they went so detailed in everything that they did here. All right, they started out with the cage fight, which is a reference to Kirby. Then and they had like the crowd and like the super fans and all that. And they had like Wario Man and the masked DDD to start. And then they went stripped down and then they went through the hammers, through the bike, through the all the other powers. And then they blew up the arena, went out with the outside fight, and then the ending with plug that hole. I literally shouted that when King Dedede got the gourd. I said, plug that hole, and oh gosh, I mean that ending was so hilarious, and the King Dedede at the end just going, yeah, it was so much, it was fun. I was laughing so hard, so much fun, loved it. All right, number three, Sasuke versus Hiei. This one could have been Mob Tatsumaki, and no, I'm not picking this one because I won. That would be biased. But no, Sasuke versus Hiei I liked because, much like Mob versus Tatsumaki, they had a lot of hand-drawn elements, but I felt that this one just had a certain kind of edge to it. Not that Mob Tatsumaki wasn't great, it really, really was, but I liked how they didn't abandon the sprites like they kind of did with Mob Tatsumaki. And the voice acting was so on point here. No match, and then you're like with the standoff. You're watching, and then they do their big attacks, and you're like, wait a minute, who's gonna fall first? And then Sasuke loses, and then yes, this is a fight worthy of a demon. It was just really, really fun. It was a very intense death battle, and I really, really liked it. Number two, Johnny Cage versus Captain Falcon. All right, again, I wasn't expecting this one to resonate with me as much as it did, but it was really fun. I mean, first of all, the way this battle started with the whole, Johnny Cage has been hired to play Captain Falcon in a movie. That's totally something Cage would brag about. And Captain's like, wait a minute, you can't be Captain Falcon. I'm Captain Falcon. That was a hilarious way to start it. And then the way they did the fight was really cool. Like how they started with basic, fighting, and then the Nutcracker. It's like, that's the comedy that just hits you in the good places, not the lower places like what happened with the Falcon. And then of course being on the racetrack, hitting the speed pads to race on, and then using the Blue Falcon, the super move with the car. What was it called? Oh, Boost Fire. There we go. Boost Fire, and then Falcon Punch. So awesome. And then only one can be worthy. So awesome. I love that fight. And if you notice, that's 3 2D fights that I've picked. What does that say to you? And then number one, honestly, shouldn't have been much of a doubt here. It is, of course, Aquaman Namor. I mean, this fight, I'm kidding. It was a fun fight, but that's not number one. It's Gannon Dracula, all right? This fight was so good, all right? The voice acting, the set pieces, the style and visuals from the Source engine, the animations. There were a few wonky things, I won't lie, but overall, it was great. And, seeing them transformed into their, Beast Dracula and Beast Gannon forms and clashing, and there was a lot of moments where you're like, oh, this guy's gonna win, oh, this guy's gonna win, no, this guy's gonna win. And then even at the end where like Dracula's got Gannon like about to kill him, and then we actually pan to the hand and you see the electricity flow, and it goes, wait a minute, is Sharp Force about to come back? Nope. And then So this battle was just so good. I mean, this could have been a fine 2D death battle. They could have done it in 2D death battle and would have been fine. Like Gannon Bowser was still one of my favorites of 2D fights because of how they did that. But they took this to another level. They took a risk. They said, let's do it in 3D on the Source engine. And now they've got a whole new method of doing death battles from now on. So props to you guys. Can't wait to see the next one. Again, Dracula, the best of Season 6 in my opinion. So what do I think of Season 6 overall? I thought it was a very fun death battle season. You know, Season 5 was the year of requests outside of a few, obviously. And they went with what the fans wanted most of the time. And while Season 6 did have that in many ways, they also dared to do different kinds of matchups. They did Dragon Zord versus Mechagodzilla. They did Johnny Cage versus Captain Falcon. They did Ben 10 versus Green Lantern and set the internet on fire as a result, but also got millions of views. And, you know, so on and so forth. And it just goes to show that sometimes you need to just, you can let the fans have what they want. I do not believe what Rian Johnson says about, you know, don't cater to the fans. No, so for Death Battle, you do need to cater to the fans at times, you know, in terms of the matchups, not the results, the matchups. But with Season 6, they did some more unique stuff, and they pushed back. They did Deadpool Mask, again, Dracula, and the Source Engine, and, you know, they had their fun. And Mega Man Battle Royale, that was another good one. Now they're teasing some really big stuff for Season 7, and including some series we haven't seen before, apparently. So, like, I was talking with some people at my reaction video for Might, and they said that Krona from Soul Eater is going to be in the series based on the teaser that we got at the end of Might. But we'll see. Also, they said that Miles Morales, Sindel, Beerus, you know, there's some other characters that are coming potentially. So we'll have to see how it goes. But I'm very excited for Season 7. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun, and we'll just have to see if 7 really is their lucky number. Even though I don't agree that with the whole, you know, divide between the 20 episodes, because if you didn't hear on the Death Battle cast, they're gonna do 10 episodes, then they're gonna pause to do DBX, and then they're gonna do 10 episodes again. Not sure how I feel about that, but we'll see how it flows. But and if they don't like it, they might change it for Season 8. We don't know. So it's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it. And with that, I'm ending this episode of Todd Talk. Let me know what you thought about Season 6 of Death Battle and what are your top 5 death battles of the season. And I look forward to seeing you in about a month's time for my preview for the first death battle of Season 7. So I thank you for watching. If you made it this far, I know you were listening, and I'll see you around.